Is it okay if we see the puppies to make sure they're okay?
There has been a tremendous tie between animal abuse and additional crimes. So by fighting this, a lot of times what we find out is it gives us either leads to crimes that have already been committed or that we prevent crimes in the future, and that's what it's all about. Well, you know, the Harris County Animal Cruelty Taskforce began like a dream. It was a couple members from law enforcement getting together with some members from the district attorney's office, and then partnering with some of the community outreach groups, nonprofits, and then we combined the government organizations with the business world, and then a lot of the community within Harris County. We did it for one reason, and that was to expedite the way that we handled cases when it came to animal neglect, abuse, and abandonment and cruelty.
Before the task force, where to report crimes against animals was confusing, but not anymore. Citizens can report online anytime, day or night, at 927pause.org. There's a hotline number too. All the reports generated can be accessed on a computer inside an officer's patrol car, where they can easily read it, get the address, and then go check it out. Here, Deputy Stephanie Womack followed up on a citizen's report about a large dog being kept in a backyard with no food and water. The female pit bull, who had just given birth to these puppies, was very thin, but did have food and water.
I've given you 6 days for either you or your daughter to take this dog to be seen and treated by a veterinarian for the weight. Also outside where the dog is being kept, that needs to be cleaned up a little bit because there are feces everywhere and that dog can, become sicker, and it's not very good for the animal's health.
Across town, Deputy Shane Rooney checks out a report that came in about an abandoned dog left inside an apartment. The report turned out to be accurate. Deputy Rooney learned that the male renter had been evicted and left with some of his belongings, but the dog was left behind. He was found hungry, thirsty, and mad. The animal was rescued.
And people don't realize in Houston that abandoning or dumping an animal is a crime. And so we need to get our arms around that and create a campaign that lets people know that you can't abandon it and you can't dump your animal.
Tina and Tama Lundquist are the founders of Houston Pet Set, a nonprofit dedicated to making a difference in animal welfare. PetSet is a vital member of the task force.
This is an opportunity for education also and community outreach. So officers who get these calls can go out and they might see a case of neglect or mistreatment of an animal. And if people don't know it's a crime, they can educate them that number one, this is crime. Number two, this is proper guardianship of an animal.
Tina and Tama are also working with legislators hoping for tougher laws. Because nearly every day, the task force seems to come across the unthinkable. Sergeant Charles Jansen is a veteran animal cruelty investigator.
But in reality, animals are put into conditions that are deplorable. You'll have some places to where animals are chained outside on less than a foot of tether. You'll have animals that have some serious medical conditions that they'll have been suffering from for up to years. You'll have cases to where animals are living in a hoarding environment to where the debris is up to the knees of a human and it's filled with urine and feces, and animals are dying and decaying in the same environment. You'll have other living animals there.
I think it's been very effective, and it's something that we've needed for a long time. I think that the community really appreciates it as well. I know and I've always felt like we should have been more involved in cruelty, being a county organization. And I was thrilled to death whenever Precinct 5 came up with this idea, and we have all these partners now joining together to make this happen, and I think it's a fantastic thing that we're doing.
I think the more it spreads, even within the veterinary profession, again, there's not a lot of organizations like this, and we're not taught taught this in vet school, and so it definitely is along the side of kind of what we're taught and trained to do with everything else we have to focus on. And so it's great to sort of bring light and attention to it, particularly with the wonderful people involved here in Houston that have such a great ability to make this a well-run agency and organization. And so I'm very proud to stand by them.
We've got inquiries from numerous other areas now wanting to come meet with us, wanting to see how we're doing things, to see if this pilot program could actually fit within their communities to help their situations also.